Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. It's Saturday morning. It's almost 8 o'clock now. And you may say, Mitch, why are you starting so late? Well, let me tell you. But mine is almost gone now. But if you got some coffee, drink it if you got it. At 7 a.m. this morning. At 7 a.m., I sat down here, pressed record on this camera, and rambled for an hour, making fabulous points. Going off like I do in directions that one subject leads to the next. Kind of like I do in my live streams. Way too much wandering around in thought and subject matter for a YouTube video. And the further and deeper into this rabbit hole I got, the more passionate I got. And I finally got to a point after 1 hour where I said, this is absurd, bitch. Where the hell are you going with this? And I stopped the recording. And here it is an hour later, and I'm starting it again. And I want to try, and I've been trying to make a point with all of this stuff, but it's about a subject so complicated that takes so much knowledge and so much learning and acceptance of fact. Facts that go against things we've been taught all our lives, that go against our religions, facts that most humans cannot comprehend, cannot think in time frames long enough, don't understand what epochs are. Eons and eons, hundreds of millions and billions of years of things happening when our whole entire lifetime happens in an instant in that time. And we view things in the frame of our lifetimes. It's taken me a lifetime to develop this understanding of how the world developed, of how the continents moved, of how everything affects everything else, and especially about life itself, and about how life evolved. And every time I talk about evolution, I get in trouble with the religious people. And I can't change them, and I don't want to change them. All I can tell you is that religious people all over the world accept evolution as proven science. Even the religious leaders have found that there's no conflict, but there are certain sects and certain religions that can only think back as far as 1,000 or 2 years ago and find all their answers in the Bible, and I think that's great. And if you're happy with that, you be happy with that. But allow me to believe something else. If I allow you to believe that and don't try to change your mind, all I can tell you is if you're looking for answers, they're not here. They're not with me. They're not with me. Why? Watch me. You can't change my mind any more than I can change yours. That doesn't mean you're a bad person or I don't think you're smart. You might be brilliant. There are brilliant people that have faith and believe that stuff. But that doesn't work with my explanation of why you should be a carnivore. I cannot explain it to you by reading the Bible, because I can find an equal and opposite answer to any point I'm trying to make somewhere in the Bible. Okay? So I don't talk about that. I don't talk about religion. I don't talk about God. I don't talk about any of those things. I talk about reality and science as I see it. And I need to be talking to realists. For those of you who told me there's no such thing as evolution, the best I could do for you was to put a page on my website at oldguycarnivore.com that has about 20 documentaries listed that explain why we know the things we know. Explain the science, explain the expeditions, explain the discoveries, explain the logic, And the only part of that evolution that I'm interested in is the evolution of our genetics, of the programming that runs this fabulously complicated machine that we are, and where and how that programming could have come to be without divine intervention. That's all. I have proven that to myself beyond a shadow of a doubt. It took me 75 years. I had already proven it to myself 22 years ago when I wrote my book, Taming the Beast Within, a book over everybody's head that read it, and nobody wanted to read it. There was no magic pill there. We struggle. I say all that because we struggle. We struggle to convince ourselves that despite the evidence and things we see, that this carnivore lifestyle is really the way. And a lot of people say carnivore is the way. Why is carnivore the way? Well, the best argument I can give you, going back into the history of our species, which goes back a couple million years, and that's all. And a couple of million years in this sea of geologic time is a couple of seconds compared to billions of years. A couple of million years. A couple of million years ago, the genetics of our ancestors was almost, and I say almost, identical to ours. Now, our DNA and our programming is almost identical, 99%, to a chimpanzee. And comparing our genetics to one of our ancestors from 2 million years ago would have to be maybe 99.9% identical. 2 million years ago, our ancestors were that much more genetically close to us. Believing that, or taking that even seriously, requires that you understand and believe in evolution. And I urge anybody that really wants to understand this stuff, not just wants instructions, tell me what to do, I don't want to know why, which is most people. I don't care why, just tell me what I need to do. Well, that requires that they believe you. And there are so many people out there telling us what you need to do. How do you know what to believe? Well, the way I finally settled on it was I studied everything for 75 years and came to my own conclusions, and that was that I need to be a carnivore to be healthy. And damn if I wasn't right. And I'm here trying to tell you. But I'm not just trying to tell you what you need to do. There's no shortage of that. I'd be wasting my time. There are hundreds of other guys on YouTube telling you what you need to do, what you need to eat, what supplements you need to take, what exercise you need to do. Of course, there's a myriad of different versions of all of that advice, and how are you supposed to know which and who to follow? So there's things that the most famous and influential carnivore people on YouTube say that I vehemently disagree with. I'm talking about jump up and down disagree. I think you can take 99% of their advice, but don't do this, and let me tell you why. I may be wrong too, and they may be right. But my opinions have come from a knowledge of how it all interacts and how it all came from. And the most important thing is where and why and how it got to be the way it is. And that just makes my advice and the things that I tell you simpler and less complicated if you give them some consideration. My advice can be distilled down to a few simple things. Carnivore is the appropriate human diet with an occasional carbohydrate when survival is at stake. That's how it always was before sugar plantations, before Coca-Cola and Pepsi Corporation, before the agricultural revolution 15,000 years ago, which is still only seconds ago in evolutionary time. In all that time before the last couple of seconds of evolutionary time, things worked a certain way. They worked without a conscious mind in any living thing. They worked without any intervention. They were controlled completely by genetics that had evolved in a test of survival since the beginning of the first living thing. That is evolution. We still carry those same instructions today. My first piece of advice is don't interfere with them. They communicate through urges and instincts. If you've forgotten how to listen to those things, learn. Eat only when you're hungry. Stop eating when you're satisfied. This is not easy to do, as far down the rabbit hole of poisoning ourselves that we've gotten, but this is what works. It works for every animal on the planet Earth, of which we are one. We are animals. Keep your religion and religious beliefs out of your nutritional beliefs. If you can't do that, I can't help you. I cannot help you. No sense listening to me. All you're going to do is get mad at me and tell me I'm a heathen and unsubscribe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Too much evidence over the course of my lifetime, which you haven't seen, which you don't know. So you can't possibly believe it. Watch my 20 videos or whatever, the documentaries that are out there. I didn't make them, about evolution, and make up your own mind. And if you don't think that there's any credibility in all that, you think that all of that is propaganda, you think that none of that science happened, none of those bones they dug up were real, everything was planted there, then you're an apologist for religion, and I can't help you. And I don't want to change your mind. God, the last thing in the world I have time to do is argue with you. I still love you. I want the best for you, but I can't help you. Leave it to your instincts. Leave the regulation of all of your bodily functions and chemistry to the genetic instructions that you carry. Don't interfere. Don't fool with it. Don't drug it. Don't try to regulate it. Stop measuring it all the time. Stop thinking about it all the time. Become a dumb animal when it comes to nutrition. You'd be amazed what you can live without in this world. I myself, in the past 2 years, live without virtually everything that is called food in our society, except some beef, some chicken or pork, bacon, some eggs. That's it. That's it. I can find what I consider food in 1 or 2 aisles of the supermarket. I can buy what I need to eat for a couple weeks in 5 minutes. That is food. That is the food that my ancestors ate. That is the food that my genetic programming is designed to use as fuel and nutrition. And by eating nothing else, I live at optimal health, and my machinery is working like it should. My addictions are gone. I'm not hungry for any of this other so-called food. The food that I know instinctually that I should eat tastes fabulous to me, and I enjoy it and I savor it when I eat it. All of the cues that I'm getting from my senses, from my sense of taste, from my sense of smell, are working. I know when to stop eating. I learned that I don't need to eat very often. I just need to make sure I eat enough. But I don't even have to think about that. I stop eating when I want to. I've gotten in touch with that inner animal who knows how to do it all. The only thing that I have to actually consciously intervene on, maybe a small amount of supplementing, because everything we need is in the food, and the only things that we need to supplement might be what was missing from the food that our ancestors used to eat. Maybe the soils are depleted. Maybe there's some minerals that aren't getting into our food. Yes, we've changed the world, and we've changed the natural development of our food sources. So yes, until we adapt as humans to the absence of, let's say, enough iodine, which might take another 100 or 200 generations, we have to fill in the gaps. We're not really doing that. We're trying to completely change the food source for the human animal and do it over a period of 1 generation or 2. We will not survive that. So stop micromanaging. Stop measuring stuff. Stop measuring your ketone levels. Stop trying to force yourself into ketosis. I disagree with so many on that. Don't eat any carbohydrate if you can help it, and let your body take care of all of that. Eat a small range of different foods. You'll find you'll be more than satisfied on it. The urge for variety will go away. The only way you're ever going to get there is to start the journey. And yes, it'll be a little difficult, but not impossible. If you can make it through 30 days, if you can make it through 30 days and have even the smallest bit of resolve, and put yourself in a situation where the stuff that you shouldn't eat isn't in your face 24/7, you'll survive. You won't survive if you don't have the desire to give up the stuff that now your life revolves around. If you don't have the desire to put the people you live with in their place and make them help you and not sabotage you. And if they don't love you enough to not sabotage you, you need to get the hell away from them. This takes resolve. This takes a change of your entire lifestyle. And until you have that resolve, and until you're willing to make those changes, not only in just the food you eat, but pretty much your entire social life structure, you will fail. You will fail. You will fall off the wagon until you finally give up. That's reality, folks. I'm not here to blow air up your skirt. Don't waste your time. I won't be the biggest YouTuber. Guaranteed. Because I'm not telling you how to make those foods that perpetuate your addictions and pretty well ensure your failure. But I will tell you this, I will probably have the highest percentage of success among my regular followers of anybody else on YouTube, because I'm telling you what it took me 77 years to learn. And if you so desire, you can benefit from that, or you can consider me a crazy old man. Get through the first 30 days. I tell you how I did it. Sounds extreme. Requires that you stop focusing on your weight and your appearance and start focusing on your health and changing your physiology back to the way it has existed up until 100 years ago. Burning fat as a primary fuel. From that point on, things will become much easier and will get much better, and you can succeed like so many, like so many. That's enough for this morning. I don't want to be here at another hour starting over. The point I'm trying to make: learn the reasons why this is the appropriate diet. Don't just take my word for it. Learning the reason why requires that you do some thinking, or somebody's going to talk you out of it and sell you something. Doing it right requires some discipline. It's easy if you let your natural instincts govern it. But if you cheat every once in a while, if you do dirty carnivore, sloppy carnivore, that's not going to work for you. If you're a carbohydrate addict, don't do carnivore unless you understand what you're getting into, my friends. And when you do it simply. Listen to your body. Don't listen to the noise. Don't micromanage it. The only thing you need to be concerned with is eating the appropriate stuff at the appropriate timing. That's it. And just move. And if you have an active life, you're moving enough. If you're sitting in a chair all day, then you're going to have to consciously get up and move. But that's about it. And until you feel bad, until you feel like you're low energy, until you feel like there's something wrong, stop searching for something wrong. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a great another one. So stop worrying about your blood test numbers. Those numbers, most of them are bogus anyway. They are the appropriate numbers for sick, diabetic, fat, poisoned people. Do you want your numbers to look like theirs? Stop listening to the alarmism. Live like an animal. They're all healthy and we're all sick. Does that tell you something? So with that, my friends, I could ramble on like this for days. You can tell I'm passionate about it. 2 years and 1 month. 1.5 months now. I have not eaten a single blueberry, consciously eaten a single gram of carbs. It works. It works. I get better and feel better every day at 77 years old. I can just put myself out there as an example, rant and rant about why I know that it works, why I know that it works. I'm passionate about this. If you want to be like me in that respect, do what I did. What I'm trying to do on here is tell you what I did and what I'm doing, and putting myself out there as an example. I have a video. This is me then and now. It's on my channel. Just go into YouTube and up in the search bar, type then and now. You'll find it, or Old Guy Carnivore then and now, and watch that. I very rarely show pictures of myself when I was heavy or younger. Look at it. Watch it. That's proof. You've seen me for a year here on YouTube, parading around in the kitchen. Do I look healthy? Some of you think I'm too thin. I can only do that. I can only put myself out here as living proof that what I have discovered actually works. I didn't invent it. I learned enough to basically go back to what my ancestors used to do tens of thousands of years ago, and try to figure out a way to integrate that in with this lunatic modern world we have. And the 8 billion mostly lunatic human beings that I've got to share it with. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk more about this on my live stream this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Love to see you there. Love to see you there. And until then, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.